I don't know. There ought to be like, I don't know, 600 people there. We'll see how many show up.
VIP status too. Does that mean you actually get to talk to them? Talk to Samrat?
Yeah, there's going to be like 2 VIP lunches. And the 4th day, he's going to take us on a bus tour of some of his assets around Dallas.
Where are you? Oh, there.
There's so many people I don't get to see. There's only 5 of us showing our face right now.
And I'm in the truck.
How far away are you? For like, are you going to be on the whole call? Michael?
I mean, unless the network gets crappy because I'm in rural East Texas.
Is it Central Time where you're at or no?
Yes, sir.
5:37. Wow, we got 16 people. Check us out. Sweet. So I'm sure everyone's sitting here not showing their face, wondering what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm about to answer that question. But first, how's everybody doing?
Excellent.
Everybody doing fantastic in the personal life, business life. You got deal flow, you got underwriting going, you're raising some money.
Bobbing and weaving.
Hart, you said you wanted to freaking send out 100 offers next 30 days. That's ambitious right there.
It's gonna be a busy weekend.
Do you have 100 deals that seem viable? Or are you just sending out offers just to send out offers?
I'm just trying to sort through as much data as possible in one fell swoop and then drop it to the CRM and let it just start kind of prospecting. But I still need to go through the numbers. I've got sort of a little thing I can plug it into where it kind of lowballs a purchase agreement. So I just want to test that. And
What exactly are you putting that into to do that?
I can show it to you. It's
No,
that
that's all right. You don't have to show me. Just is it like it's like CoStar? Is it like a CRM?
it's just a little pre-filled form thing that Pete Conti kind of put together where I think it's just like it's probably coming in at like 70 or 80% purchase price of maybe what the value is. I don't know the full math. I'm guessing it's something like that. And
Right.
then pretty much it sends out an offer. And if they say fuck off or something negative, it takes them off the list. But if they don't respond, it sends it every 3 months. And
Oh, so it continues to send offers.
yeah, it's like the same agreement. So text, ringless voice.
And these are just emails, or these are like legitimate LOIs?
It's I'm trying to think. LOI. He waits a week and then he's like, hey, I need you to see this. Gives you a way out, if funding fails, and it ties it up for 5 months. So it's like a 2-part agreement.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I haven't tested it yet. I'm curious.
Yeah, let me know how it works. An automatic deal offer letter writer
Yeah.
shindig.
I want to recreate it for myself.
Maybe you could get Chat GPT in on that and then just
Anything's possible.
I'm sorry, what was the name of that tool?
It's something inside of his course. It's basically it's like a pre-filled form. So you put in like the number of rooms and some very basic data, and then it just generates a contract PDF that it then sends.
This is Peter Conti's course.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're a dream partner.
I'm not a dream partner.
Okay.
I got on his list and he had like a $2,000 commercial funding secrets course, and then he dropped it to $997 and then I bought it.
Gotcha. Now I think I know what system you're talking about. Yeah, it's an automated system that does ringless voicemails and automated text messages and stuff like that.
It's basically a Go High Level rebrand.
Yeah.
I've got it for a year, so I'm just going to pull everything out of it and run my own Go High Level next year, but I might as well use it this year since I paid for it.
might as well give it a shot.
Yeah.
Got old Go High Level.
Great.
All
system.
right. Well, What we're really going to be covering today is actually going to be a continuation of capital raising. So this will be part 15 of raising cash, and we're going to go over some things that you guys already know, but then there'll be some new things that you don't. I just want to pound the pavement on the fact that social media and any kind of additional third thought leader, or I say third, secondary thought leadership platform is going to be the best avenue for us to really automate our ability to raise money. So raising money, there's so many different facets to it. It's definitely a longer term play, a long game. It's not something that you're going to have a deal under contract and then bam, in the flip of a switch, you're going to go talk to 100 people and they're all going to give you $1 million a piece. It's something that is very relationship built, as you guys already know. So how do you actually go about building the relationship, forming the emotional connection with these people on a scalable level, and be able to do it in a little bit more of a systematic or automated fashion? So I'm not literally having to continue to do newsletters or continue to write blog posts or whatever and get on all these one-on-one phone calls with everybody. What's a better way to do it? Better system to do it? That's what we're going to talk about today. Wow, we got 19 people. I can dig it. Full house today. So what I wanted to do was go over this part 15. And then after that, we'll open it up for questions. And then I'm hoping there's time left. I'm hoping I can blow through this. And we can do the breakout rooms again, especially since we got so many people here today. So let's jump in. Y'all can see this?
Yep.
Hoorah! Growing a network of investors, part 15. Automating your capital raising efforts. Experienced capital raisers claim that even after multiple successful raises, they don't always know how much they're going to be able to raise on their next real estate investment. And that's definitely true. I am equally of the same. I consider myself to be equally in that boat of like, even though I've raised 25 million, it's still like, hey, on the next deal, the market's changed, the timing's different. Maybe the next deal is a little bit different than some of the other deals we've done. How much capital am I really going to be able to raise? You're never really going to know unless you go and you try it. So it's proof that it's common for real estate investors to be fearful and uncertain about where they're going to get the funds or the funding that they need. If you're uncomfortable or simply not confident with capital raising, it's precisely what we'll be covering today. So let's break down the steps you can take to raise money for your next real estate investment on autopilot. Generate investor leads. Like a sales pipeline, investor leads are the lifeblood of your real estate investor database. Experienced investors are always growing their real estate database so that they have multiple investors ready to deploy their money into their next opportunity. If your goal is to raise capital for your real estate deals consistently, you need to be reaching new potential investors every week, and honestly, even every day. And not only do you need to be reaching new people, you need to be having and retaining the investors that you have in your database on a consistent basis. You don't need to be only connecting with them once a month or once every other month. You need to be trying to stay top of mind at the very least on a weekly basis. So one, how can you do that without being annoying? And two, how can you do it effectively to where people actually care enough, right? To read what it is that you've sent them and stay in touch in that regard. So the secrets lie in how successful commercial real estate investors have raised capital for years. Some might use some of their own money, but for the most part, they've built a network of sophisticated, accredited investors and private money to raise capital for their deals. Start by reaching out to your personal network. Oftentimes you'll find investors and people you don't expect. And a lot of this that we're actually covering today, we go in much more granular detail in the actual capital raising challenge that you'll get to go through. If you've already gone through it, then you'll get the chance to go through it again. And if you haven't gone through it, then we'll be going through it together here fairly soon, probably in the next month or so. So I once had a guy I've only ever met twice when I was 8 years old give me $50,000 after finding out about what I do. And a lot of that came through the challenge that I did, came through me just kind of talking about who I am. But why wait for the challenge to let people know who you are and what you're doing? And so how can you actually get into a rhythm to where you are consistently getting out there and letting people know that. And then what's the actual way to do that? Like, what do you actually say? How do you say it? When do you say it? How often do you say it? And how does that actually translate into investors? Reach out to a family member, reach out to friends, well-known acquaintances, update them on your involvement in real estate, because that guy that I only ever met twice, he didn't know I was in real estate. Once he found out, suddenly he had money and suddenly he was interested in investing. I had some people I told that I was in the business, like old, college friends and people I used to just be acquainted with back in Memphis when I used to live there. And once they found out that I was in real estate investing, suddenly they wanted to learn more about me and what I was doing. Suddenly they were much more interested in following me. And suddenly they had capital to invest, whether that be in some form of retirement account or whatever. See if they might be interested in investing their personal capital into one of your deals. Tapping into your network is a great way to raise money. Many investors have utilized social media to find investors, start raising money. That has been my primary avenue of what I've utilized to truly exponentialize my ability to raise. On social media, you can document your real estate journey and just simply educating your followers on what you do. Literally as simple as that. Kind of like your own personal reality TV show. That's what I like to call it, where people are literally getting a chance to tune into what you're doing on a weekly, sometimes even daily basis, depending on how often you post. And people aren't caring necessarily to know what you ate for breakfast that morning. They're not caring to know that you had diarrhea in the afternoon. Like, they want to know a little bit more about the intrapersonal perspective of what you're doing either in real estate or what you're doing in your personal life, if what you're doing in your personal life is actually interesting to that individual. So the way that you're going to figure that out is actually by finding out who your target avatar is, who your actual target investors are that are interested in who you are and what you do. And it's not going to be something that you're really going to be able to know until you just kind of split test it. So there'll be some things that we'll cover today and some additional things that you can actually review if you haven't had the chance to go over all the calls we did through this section of growing your network of investors on different ways to split test, different things to post, how to do that, and what that actually looks like. So on social media, document your journey. Yep, this will give people the opportunity to get to know you, learn about what you do, develop trust in you. Social media helps you gain momentum when raising money for your investment opportunities by building relationships with people through content on a very scalable level. So literally something that you were probably already going to be doing anyway, or really needed to be doing anyway, now has turned into a positive tool, a positive resource in your ability to raise capital. And it's not just the posting that's going to allow you to be able to raise. It's also the direct messages, the private messages, the ability to get someone on social media who finds you and yourself interesting in whatever it is that you're posting about, whatever it is that you're talking about, then getting them off of social media onto a phone call or onto your CRM or into your investor portal or whatever, so that you can start utilizing the systems and processes that we're setting up here to turn them into an actual investor, as opposed to just a lurker in the background that watches what you post. Social media can also help you become a thought leader, which is going to be huge and something that I highly recommend, is something that we're going to be talking about today, and something I highly recommend you guys put some thought into as far as what you want yours to look like. Thought leader is someone who's an authority or expert in their field. Thought leaders are those people you see and hear about constantly in the real estate space. Like we were just talking before we started, Brad Sumrock. How did he become a thought leader? Because he was probably on social media, probably marketing himself like crazy, being in the business for a long time, telling everyone about what he does and how he's successful and educating others on how he does it. Suddenly he's a thought leader. Suddenly he's a big name. Suddenly it's super easy for him to raise cash and get over 600 people to pay money to come to a conference that he sets up, right? So your reputation will precede you as a thought leader. Most thought leaders typically provide some form of education in the form of content, which more often than not is just education in how you're doing what you're doing. And honestly, maybe even just specifically what you're doing, how that could potentially benefit other people. This makes you look more credible and trustworthy in the eyes of prospective investors. So check out Brand Building Part 6 for all the different ways to actually be a better thought leader and build your own platform. There's a handful of different ways to do that. We went through a big, long laundry list of ways that you could actually become a deeper thought leader in that section. So encourage you to go check that out. Building a secondary thought leadership platform on top of being excellent at social media, which is what we're really talking about today, will easily 10x your ability to raise cash. Again, I also can't stress the importance of consistency enough with both of those avenues. So with social media being consistent, and then whatever you choose to be your secondary version of thought leadership, which could be a number of different things. It could be a YouTube channel if you really like videos. You could write an ebook. It could be a blog post. It could be a newsletter if you really like the newsletters. You could start a podcast. You could start a local meetup. You could start a virtual meetup. There's so many different ways that you can build yourself as an industry professional, surround yourself with other people, do it in a scalable way, and then that just becomes an additional avenue for revenue, basically, for raising cash. So now that we've got the leads, now that we've been on social media a little bit, telling people about what we do, now we have to nurture those investor leads. So how do we nurture them? Well, the best way to do it, honestly, is through what we're focusing on today, which is social media. A lot of our investors are both on our CRM and in our portal and following us on social media. And social media has been one of the best spots that we've been able to utilize, just continuing to keep in touch with those investors. We're already going to post 3 to 5 times a week anyway. So go ahead and follow us on social media and stay up to date with what it is that we're doing. Helps everyone stay up to date with what we're doing, helps us stay top of mind, helps us remain at the top of being that thought leader in their mind. And then ultimately, when we do have an opportunity, that's when we can reach out to them on a more direct basis and raise the cash, right? So once you have an investor in your database, your focus becomes nurturing the relationship. Start by following up with them. This can be via email, this can be via phone call, text message, or wait for it, social media. The important part is to continue the dialogue, learn more about them and their financial goals. Do they want cash flow? Are they motivated by higher return on sale? Or do they want to take advantage of depreciation? Consider using an email automation to continue to build rapport with your investors. In these emails, you can tell them a little bit more about yourself and your company, the Vivid Vision. Talk to a handful of you guys, hopefully all of you at this point, if you haven't already scheduled your one-on-one call with me, about the Vivid Vision and why crafting that is going to be so important. It's going to be a great way for us to build that rapport. It's going to be a great way for us to portray ourselves as an industry professional. And there's a specific automated fashion that we can do that in, which is basically what I did was create a little 3-part video series for my vision. So I have the vision itself that people can tune into as a part of the automated system, kind of the welcoming emails that they'll receive from initially joining our list, getting on it in any form or fashion. So they can actually just read it if they want to read it, or they'll also get access to this little 3-part video series, which will be me reading it, but also explaining it in a much more detail-oriented fashion. So the one, they're able to actually see me and not just read just black words on a white page. But 2, they're able to, see my body language, hear the tonality in my voice, hear the excitement. Like they're really just able to get a deeper emotional connection with me since it's a video without actually having the phone call with me yet, right? So hopefully I'm able to build that level of rapport. So by the time we get on the phone, 1, I don't have to have the same conversation with 1,000 different investors and explain to them what we're all about and what we do and blah, blah, blah. But then 2, I can focus more efforts on that particular individual and learn more about them and their goals and what they desire and need. So I can actually determine if I'm a good fit. Give them a general idea of how your real estate investments work. This positions you as an authority since you're educating them. It also gives them important information they can use to determine if your real estate deals are actually a good fit. You should encourage your prospective investors to book a call with you or to do some kind of call to action, whatever you want your call to action to be. For me, I found that booking a call just makes a lot of sense. A lot of people really just want to have a one-on-one call with you or want to learn more about who you are. Not everyone necessarily needs it, but those that do, don't be shy and don't be scared to get on that phone call. Phone call is a great opportunity for you to learn more about their financial goals, match the right investment opportunities with the right investors, because again, you may not actually be a good fit for them and they'll appreciate the honesty. Once an investor actually joins your database, you should ask them for a soft commitment. It's all going to be a part of the script that we go over in the challenge about actually having a conversation with an investor. What does that look like? What are the questions you should ask? What are the questions you shouldn't ask? And how does that actually flow into a legitimate investor, right? A solid investor actually joining you and committing to something. So when do you ask that? How do you ask that? What does that look like? Just let you know how much investment capital the investor has before you close your next deal. Also forces them to get comfortable with the idea of actually investing that amount of money simply by verbalizing it and feeling like they just have a better, deeper sense of trust and relationship with you through having that call. And again, the reason I talk about the Vivid Vision and some of these automations and CRMs and being on social media is because not everyone requires the call. You can actually build that emotional connection and that rapport with people without always getting on the phone, which is the way we're really able to turn this into a scalable endeavor. So number 4, present real estate investments. Investors you've qualified should be separated from the rest of your investor leads. Many investors organize these investor leads in an investor portal like InvestNext. If you guys don't already utilize InvestNext, by the way, I encourage you to do so because I don't know when I think it expires in maybe beginning to mid-April. But I currently have a discount code with InvestNext because they sponsored my podcast. So if you're looking for an investor portal, if you want to know more about that, go check out one of the calls we did in Growing Your Network about InvestNext and the portal and benefits of just having an investor portal in general. But then also use my discount code, which is just Creative Capital. So you'll have to schedule a demo with InvestNext, mention the name Creative Capital, and I think they give you 25% off your subscription when you jump on. So use that while you have it as a benefit. Go ahead and sign up for that. Even if you don't think you necessarily need it right now, it's not that costly. I think especially with the 25% discount, it ends up being $30 to $50 a month or something like that. So it's not like it's breaking the bank, and it's going to be massively beneficial, especially for you to set it up on the front end before it actually comes time to start raising cash. But we're not talking about investor portals today, but encourage you to go do that. Once you have a deal, certain steps you can take to raise more investment capital from your investor database. Tell your investors the story behind the deal. It's one of the best ways to do so. And a lot of the times when you do that, the ways to execute on the storytelling behind it is in a couple of different fashions. But one of the big ones is going to be the webinar. And then there's going to be other avenues of how you can actually pitch that. But before you release the information about a deal in some kind of widespread fashion, create excitement by teasing. Creating anticipation will have your investors on the edge of their seats waiting for more information. This is why I really like the A, B, and C investor distribution lists and the methods of which to communicate when you have a deal. If you guys don't know what the A, B, C, and investor distribution lists are, I think go check out the one right before this, part 14. I'm pretty sure we dove really deep into what those were and how you actually communicate with those investors, like what quantifies them to be in what list. When it actually comes time to pitch a deal, when you have a legitimate deal after you've nurtured all these leads. Another email you can send investors is one that creates a sense of urgency. Without being dishonest, you can send your investors an email explaining that there's a limited space, or rather there is limited space in the investment opportunity. So they should reach out to you if they're interested in learning more. The above method describes this perfectly. The ABC method talks about how you can give that sense of urgency, give that sense of FOMO, and how the flow of the ABC distribution list actually allows you to do that much more simplistically. Who gets what information first, and then being completely honest, telling people that you've already raised 50, 60, 70, 80% of the raise, not many spots left, and they only just found out about the information. And they're like, how does he already raised so much and we only just found out about it? You know, how do I become the guy on the higher level list? So how do they work their way up the lists? Number 5, raising capital doesn't have to be complicated. At the end of the day, 3 bullet points. Don't start raising capital once you have a deal. Start now by posting on your social media, positioning yourself as a thought leader, reaching out to your personal network. Again, a lot of that's what we're going to go through it much deeper in the challenge. But I think today, as early as today or as early as tomorrow, you guys should start figuring out how you can best position yourself on social media. If you haven't already, and if you're already doing it on social media, then what are some things you can tweak to make your engagement better, make your following better, right? And what does that actually look like? We'll talk about that on this call, actually, right after these bullet points. Then you want to nurture relationships with your investors. You want to educate them, get on a call with your investors, make sure that you understand their actual financial goals, follow the scripts we've gone over in previous calls, which you can see in those previous calls and those recordings. Create anticipation and a sense of urgency with emails, phone calls, and texts during a capital raise. Show them why you're excited about a deal and why they should have confidence in you and your business partners. by reinforcing your track record or just reinforcing the fact that you know what you're talking about in this particular market and utilizing other people's track record if you personally don't have one. So for you, if any of you guys are looking to raise capital for a deal and it's like you and another business partner, but neither of you have a ton of experience, one, I would leverage your experience in maybe another industry and just talk about how successful you've been in some other secondary career and how you think that actually directly ties into your ability to succeed in real estate. And then two, I would definitely highly leverage someone like myself that you're directly connected to, who has a lot of track record, who has a lot of experience in the business, and talk about how close of a relationship, the fact that they're your mentor or coach or something, you are to that person, and how they are like kind of a coach or a mentor or a guide that an advisor that you could use for that particular deal. And it's also something you can put in the pitch deck too, something you can put as a part of like the bio about a section or advisor section or whatever you want to call it. So social media excellence, right? How do you actually exceed at social media? We're talking all about social media and what you should do, but how do you actually do it? What does it actually look like? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to stop thinking of Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn or any other social networking platform as purely a numbers game. Consider it from a more practical standpoint. Social media is about relevance and opportunity rather than popularity, which most of you may already know, but you may not know how to execute on. In the beginning, success on social media was defined by how many followers you had. Someone with 1 million followers was considered a bigger success than another person in the same niche with only 1,000 followers. But today, if I'm being honest with you, the rules have kind of changed. The rules of success in general, but just also the rules of social media, especially if you utilize a platform like LinkedIn, where followers doesn't really matter. Number of followers you have is more superficial than anything else. It can be an important marker of success, but only when it's considered alongside a few other numbers like engagement stats, investor conversion rate, and cost per conversion, if any cost. Engagement stats include the like to dislike ratio of interactions compared to total views compared to total followers, and the number of actual comments, legitimate engagement. These are the general engagement stats that matter most in calculating how engaged your follower base actually is. And then, of course, translating that then into those DMs, those PMs, and any kind of additional phone calls that you would have received from that. Low engagement means a high follower count may not actually matter in terms of accomplishing whatever goals that you have. Investor conversion rate and cost per conversion rate are two related numbers that help answer the question of how you're doing and actually monetizing your investor base. Who cares that you have 100,000 followers if your average conversion rate from social media is only not even a tenth of a percent, 0.01%. That would mean that only 1 out of every 10,000 views equals a conversion. If you're dealing with high value investments, then maybe that ratio is okay. But if you're working with lower budgeted syndicated investments, that's not a great number. So cost per conversion is exactly what it sounds like. If you average out the cost of creating content, managing your social media account, how does that compare with the number of conversions that you're getting? So when I say conversion, I mean someone actually interested in who you are. So we can make a more definitive definition of that when we actually have a solid deal that we're ready to start raising for, and we actually raise the capital and get the deal closed. But before that happens, our best way of figuring out what our cost per conversion rate is going to be strictly by looking at who is giving us soft commits, who's reaching out, who is saying legitimately that they're interested in investing with us, and what exact like amount they would be interested in potentially investing. And then, of course, we want to legitimately translate that into an investment, but it's not going to happen right away, especially if you don't have a deal right away. So social media is just people. Imagine social networking platforms as very large rooms full of potential investors, just like a conference or an in-person mastermind or an in-person meetup. All kinds of prospects in the room from all different demographics, walks of life. Many have varying interests, passions, hobbies, or priorities. Would you walk up to a random person in that room and start immediately trying to sell your project? Of course not. You'd walk up to them and want to get to know a little bit more about them before you just jump into the fact that you've got some deal you're trying to raise for. Treat social media platforms like networking events. You need to have a conversation. You need to get to know someone a bit more before you bring up anything about what you're actually offering. Get personal, get emotional, chat with people, form relationships, create those strong connections. It all can be done systematically through social media. It's how you end up monetizing your followers and forming valuable relationships. Every social media platform is some variation on a room full of people. You'll get the chance to interact with so many new people, way more than you'd meet at a typical networking event. So you need to make the exchange worth it for the both of you. And mostly what I like to do when I go to an actual networking event is not necessarily try to connect with 50 to 100 to 1,000 different investors. Like, I don't want to be the guy that's handing out my business card to every single person I meet, shaking a hand, telling them my name, and then waving goodbye and going on to the next person. I would rather talk to just 10 really high level, really high quality conversations and relationships that I build to where maybe all 10 of those people actually turn into legitimate investors. I don't want to just do the, pray and spray method where I'm just throwing out business cards, hoping people are, taking in my information and caring to call me. 8, the right people, not the right number. But so the same thing could be said as far as the pray and spray method of throwing out business cards. The same thing could be said on social media when people post the same content that everyone else is posting that no one cares to actually look at and that no one's actually engaging with. And the similar thing could be said to someone who's actually going out there and promoting themselves and trying to sell themselves and sell how awesome they are and how great their deals are doing. Like, there's a time and a place for some of those posts, but it's not something we want to be doing consistently because no one likes that guy. No one likes those posts. And that's why if you see specific people, even though they may have a high following base, if you look consistently at their posts and the level of engagement they receive, it's like little to nothing. And you don't want to be that person. Right people, not the right number. As much as we love numbers and data, social media isn't all about the numbers. If you have a highly engaged following of 1,000 people that are passionate about investing, have invested or are interested in investing with your company, and who have a right chance of converting or connecting you to people who will convert, you nailed it. A handful of engaged, converting, passionate followers is infinitely better than a mass following of vaguely interested, mostly disengaged people who are unlikely to convert or refer people who will convert. Connecting with the right people is vastly more important than connecting with the most people, especially on platforms like Facebook, like Facebook, where you only have 5,000 connections max and you can't get any more than that. So you have to limit who you actually want to connect with, because if you make a friend with somebody and then they never engage on any of your content, they never comment, they never like, they never PM you, they never tell anyone else about your business, why should they be friends with you? Like, the purpose of your social media at this point is your personal brand, and your personal brand should branch out and receive engagement from. My personal goal is at least like 50 to 60% of my follower base. And I've been able to even blow that out of the water, specifically on LinkedIn. So my new goal is really surpassing 100% of what my actual follower base is. And we can talk about what that actually, like, how that actually is. Basically with LinkedIn, it doesn't matter how many actual followers you have, the platform will actually show your post to much more people. So like, I only have, I think 8,500 followers on LinkedIn, but my posts see on average about 10 to 60,000 views per post. So I have much more visibility. And so my goal is to receive the same level of engagement, right? To receive like hundreds and hundreds, great if it would be thousands of people commenting, liking, engaging with my post, which is obviously just going to increase the visibility of the post, increase my view in the business as a thought leader, and help me raise more money, right? Which it has. If you were to go to a networking event, how many valuable potential leads, investors, or connections would you have to make for it to be worth your time? Consider your social media accounts with the same scrutiny. So selling to your audience. When your followers are people who are just as passionate about real estate and investing as you are, it'll be far easier to sell to them over time. Focus on relationship building and connections, giving great value to your followers all along the way. Don't push the sales side of it on a regular basis, or you're likely to turn off some potential leads. If you're too sale-focused from the beginning, it'll come out on your content. Don't use every post to advertise and sell. It's a recipe for disengagement. Instead, provide value up front so that on the occasions you do aim for some type of conversion, sales, email list signups, getting on the phone with you, deal that they can invest in, people will be far more receptive. You've already proved your value to them at that point, and they'll be more likely to trust what you're offering will actually be valuable to them. So then lastly, I wanted to give you guys some actual social media post examples. So I'm sure all of you at this point are probably following me on social media and maybe have already seen these posts, maybe you haven't, but I wanted to put them here, just easy access. when people are going back and watching this video, or when you just want to go back and look at this PDF, because there's so many different types of social media posts that you can do. And we actually did a call on this before, and we talked specifically about what the pattern was, the different types of posts you can actually do, and how often you should do each type of post. There's like lifestyle posts, there's value add educational posts, there's the really like personal type posts. There's the educational posts talking specific about how-tos on real estate. There's like comedic posts, but like there's so many different types of posts that you can do. So what's the flow of what that actually looks like? And we talked about that on a previous call. So I didn't want to take the time up talking about that. Instead, I just wanted to give you guys some examples of things that I've posted and talk about the success that these posts actually saw. So this first post you may recognize because it was a recent post from about 2 weeks ago. I basically sit down so a lot of times it's just the night before, if I'm being completely honest with you. I'm not always like super savvy and like I'm going to come up with a full week or a full month's worth of content. Some people really like to do that. I feel like the content's just outdated by the end of the month if it's content that you wrote over a month ago, especially if it's like market specific or even what you're doing specific, because that was something you were doing a month ago. So I usually at the longest maybe put together content a week in advance, but honestly, most of the time it's a day or two beforehand when I'm actually piecing content together. So I was just sitting here at my desk one day. I think the night was coming to a close and I was thinking, oh yeah, I got to come up with what I'm going to post tomorrow on social media. And I remember talking to multiple people that day about how they were struggling very deeply with analyzing deals and underwriting and how it was just taking way too much time. And I was like, this could be a good post. People knowing that there is a better way to post and to post more efficiently. So this literally, these like everything in quotations here was literally the post. No social, like no extra emojis, nothing, like exactly how it was written here was how I posted it. I think I added a couple of hashtags, but nonetheless. How fast you can effectively analyze multifamily deals can make or break you as a busy professional, especially if you're working crazy hours or have a family to spend time with like I did. When I first started this investor journey, I spent easily 2 to 3 hours per deal trying to analyze it. This is the complete opposite of being efficient. It was also a massive waste of my time as most deals didn't make financial sense. It seemed like I was never going to get anywhere until I finally did something about it. I spent many hours trying and testing out the best possible way to analyze larger multifamily deals with speed until I figured it out and created a cheat sheet. This became what I call the 10-minute analysis. Allows me to underwrite a deal in less than 10 minutes. Yes, you read that right, 10 minutes. Want to stop wasting hours crunching numbers on deals that were never going to work out anyway? Drop analysis below and I'll send you the cheat sheet. So I thought this was going to be another one of those posts that I posted that saw maybe 20, 30,000 views around my average number in between there. But this one ended up blowing up and it's got, I think at this point, we're at more engagement and more like views than I've ever had with any other post ever. So I couldn't believe myself and realized that one, there's a lot of people out there that don't know how to analyze deals effectively. So maybe that's something we need to cover more in this mastermind. But I also realized that when you add value to things that your audience legitimately needs, like figuring out what that is first, but then adding that level of value, you become the massive professional in the industry. This post blew up. I got over like 100,000 views on this post. And I think we've surpassed 1,000 comments on LinkedIn alone now. And on Facebook, they don't tell you how many views, but I got like 200 comments on Facebook. So I got a lot of engagement, a lot of interaction. Obviously, that just continued to increase the visibility of the post. But I also got a lot of passive investors from this post. You may look at it and think, what passive investor cares to underwrite a deal? But a lot of passive investors care to equally understand how to underwrite deals. So if nothing else, they can do their own due diligence when considering investing with a sponsor. So I had a lot of passive investors reach out, got a lot of calls scheduled, got a lot of people on the CRM and the portal. People now interested in investing with me simply because I gave them this little, what I call cheat sheet, which is something I had already put together anyway. So why not just send it out to people? So anyway, that's an option. And a thing that I think really helped with this particular post was that I required people to comment to receive the info. So instead of just giving them the information and dropping a link in the comments for everyone to go grab, it wouldn't have received as much engagement. It wouldn't have received as much. I wouldn't have received as much feedback because people just snag the link and disappear. So instead, actually requiring them to engage with you not only allows the post to blow up, but it also allows you to slowly start to build that relationship, if nothing else, in the direct messages or private messages of social media, and then hopefully getting them into some kind of funnel into your system somehow so that you can start nurturing that lead. And then this other post, so this was really like a value add post. You could say not necessarily an educational post, kind of is, in the sense that I'm like giving them something to help educate, but I wasn't actually educating in the post itself. So that's actually two different types of educational posts. And I found that by not educating in the post itself, but requiring people to like comment for the data, you actually get more engagement, you get more visibility, and the post ends up doing a lot better than if I were to just have written out this long, like instead of creating the cheat sheet for people to get, if I just made the cheat sheet a social media post, like it just wouldn't have got as much visibility. And I personally wouldn't have got as many passive investors interested in investing with us as I did. So this last post, the reason everything looks so funky is because there was emojis in this one. This was like the green check mark, and then these were like the number boxes 1 through 10, and then the little fire flame and 100 emoji. That's why they look super weird, but it's all coming true. This is a little bit more of a lifestyle post. So what is happening to me in my current life today, and how can I portray that in such a way that people, one, are interested in actually engaging with the post, but two, are able to see and connect emotionally with me and my story. It's all coming true. When I first set out on this adventure into multifamily real estate investing, starting from just $500 in my bank account, I created my vivid vision about what my life would look like 3 years into the future to give me a deeper sense of clarity and goals to shoot for. Here are 10 things I wrote down in October 2020 that I wanted to come true by December 2023. 100 million assets under management, quit my W-2, have 1,200 units, have 3 employees, wanted to live a life of intention, wanted to donate over 100K to various charities, wanted to provide a new level of transparency and experience to my investors, wanted to raise over 30 million, wanted my podcast to reach over 2 million people, and wanted to teach others about this incredible business. Just over 2 years later, here's what I've already accomplished. Currently have 65 million, climbing to 100 million, quit my W-2 just 20 months after getting laser focused on multifamily. Currently have 874 units, currently have 2 employees, currently living extremely intentionally, more and more each day, by being able to do more of what I actually love. Have donated over 25,000 already this year, have gotten much more systematized with investor relations, and have eaten certain costs a time or two to assure my investors always come first. Raised over 25 million in climbing, currently have reached over 800,000 people already for my podcast, and started the mastermind, which at the time had 33 students. I've already joined, 5 of whom have already quit their W-2 by closing deals in 7 months or less, shooting to help 25 more people quit their W-2 by the end of this year. When you truly set your mind to something, surround yourself with the right people, get really crystal clear on what your goals are. There's no limit to what you can accomplish. So it's posts like these that this lifestyle post of what's actually happening, what's the personal, emotional kind of tie-in connection that people can get to you. And whether it's you actually succeeding and like how successful you are, or whether it's just you failing. Like if you talk about how big of a failure a particular deal was for you, and why was it such a failure? And what were the lessons you learned along the way that you're not going to repeat? And then those lessons are equally going to be lessons that other people know to avoid when they potentially try to get into this business. So there's about 1,000, 100,000, million plus different ways to actually write a social media post. But I personally really like crafting them this way. I found a lot of success in crafting them, not like necessarily with all the verbiage crafting it this way. I mean, for me, yes, you're obviously going to personalize it to your own voice, to your own tone, to your own personality. But doing it in such a way where instead of writing out like really long paragraphs, and taking, like, I could have just listed all this out in a long paragraph with a bunch of commas, but it's not as eye-catching. People don't really engage and connect as much with that. It just looks like a bunch of word vomit on a page. So adding a couple of emojis, making sure I take it with every new, like, just keep starting a new fresh line when I have a new piece of information. And honestly, you guys have probably seen this a lot on social media, because this is one of the best ways to actually craft the way that your words are written. Not actually what the words are, but how to craft how they're written when you go to actually post something. So like, this could have all been one paragraph, but separating it out actually made it much more engaging, made it much more easy to read. And that's what people really like nowadays. They also like short, sweet, and simple. They don't really like posts that are super, super long. Most people don't read that long, short attention spans, right? So any way you can make things short, sweet, and simple is always the solution. Does anyone have any specific questions over anything we just went over?
No, this was really good, Josh. I see your posts pretty often, and I'm always kind of liking it. And I'm like, oh, let me put a comment. And then when you comment something or say, hey, thanks so much, it kind of gains some traction. And I've had a lot more views on my profile just because of it. So it's pretty engaging to really kind of
Yeah, when you reply to other people's comments.
Yeah.
One, it helps me actually keep track of who I've already direct messaged if I needed to direct message them for any one given thing, because 1,000 comments is ridiculous. And two, it makes, obviously increases engagement. So it just adds more comments to bring it up.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kevin. No, you're good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I agree. I actually read all of Josh's posts, and they're all written in a kind of a story format, like a storytelling format, and that makes it a lot of, there's a lot of interest when you read it, right? But Josh, I do have a question though, because I think, and I've actually tried a lot of the posting, with the different styles and stuff like that. But one of the complications that I have is the consistency, right? Being able to, carve out time. And there's folks that actually doing this every single day, sometimes multiple posts per day.
Yeah, I know.
And so for those of us who have, other things that's going on, life, family, and stuff like that, is there any recommendation in terms of what we could do to, to write posts? But I guess, if you don't have time to do it, right, you lose that level of engagement.
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, it's going to have to come down to the fact that you have to kind of make time to make this a consistent action that you do that helps build you as a thought leader. But I mean, you can get strategic in how you actually time block that. You can give yourself a full hour or an hour and a half on like Saturday morning or Friday morning or Monday morning, whatever day you want to make it, whatever time you want to make it. And just use the entire hour and a half, use the entire hour to just sit down and craft content specific for that week. Like make it a weekly reoccurring thing. And every Monday or every Sunday morning or Sunday evening, when everyone's like taking a nap and chilling and everyone's got, full bellies from just eating good food and chilling all day, you just take an hour of the chill time and sit down and craft like 3 or 4 posts for the week. And just do it that way. And if you really can't think about what to come up with, because content creation is one of the biggest struggles that people have when it comes to posting on social media, then just glean inspiration from other people. Go and look at other people in the industry that you want to be in multifamily real estate, and just see what they post. And if I'm being honest with you, if you go to someone's profile, go to my profile, look back 3 months, 3-4 months ago at stuff that I've posted, copy it, paste it on your own page. I'm so serious. I mean, personalize it to yourself if it's like a personal story or something. But literally 3 months ago, nobody's going to remember what I posted. It's just that's people's attention span. So that's people's memory. So you post it, you steal it, you look like a genius, and it's great. And then you don't have to come up with the content. Now, don't do that all the time. You want to definitely have your own personal touch on that. But if you're really sitting down and you're trying to come up with 3 or 4 things and you've come up with like 2 or 3 and you're like, man, I just got to come up with one more and I can't think of nothing, then just go to someone's post, go to someone like a different person's post, right? Don't pick the same person every time to copy and paste from. Like find someone else's post who you really like their content. People really engage well with them. They're a heavy thought leader in the business. And they're kind of like an idol in a way of someone that you would want to replicate anyway. Then copy and paste some of the information that they've posted. I'm not gonna lie, I've done that a couple of times. I have not come up with every piece of content that I've ever created. But if I do copy and paste content that someone else has posted, then I typically change like at least 50% of it. So it at least looks more like mine than theirs. But the punchline of whatever they were talking about that I really liked is still the punchline of my post, right? But I'll just have a different story or a different spin on it.
I think it's so ironic you mentioned that, because I have a friend who's a successful social media influencer, and he told me the exact same thing, right? And I think the term that he used was curated or curation of other people's, posts. And it was interesting when we was talking, because he said, if you, like you said, take a post from someone who has like, let's just say 1 million followers, right? In this business, and you literally take that post and reshare it on your social media page, a lot of times that person will like your post on your page and share it with, obviously people are following him. So it would bring more volume or more followers to your post.
Yeah, and I never want to do a direct copy and paste, because sometimes it does look like plagiarism. You do look like a shady individual just taking other people's content and posting it as your own. So I always do like to tweak it and personalize it. But because I've had people do that to me before. Here I am telling you guys to do it to me, but I've had people do it to me before where it wasn't a post that was 3, 4, 5 months ago. It was a post like a day ago. Like I posted the day or 2 prior, and some dude just copy and pasted everything that I said and posted it on his own, gave me no credit. And I was like, how bogus is this? And I didn't actually find out about it. Someone else screenshot his, like what he had posted and sent it to me and was like, isn't this exactly what you posted like yesterday? I'm like, sure is. Looks like he likes my content.
Well, no, I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about tagging the original person who actually posted it.
Yeah, and you can do that too, which is much better. If you really want to copy and paste what they say, but and tweak a few things, then most definitely tag that person. But that helps. Absolutely, it's going to help. It's going to help you come up with content. It's going to help you be able to do that. I wouldn't do that on a reoccurring basis though, because then it looks like you're never coming up with your own content. So you could do it every now and then, like once every other week, maybe. By the time 2 weeks has passed, people will forget you've done it, and you do it again and it'll be all right. But if you did it like every week, then it may get fishy.
Cool.
But anyway,
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, I would just pick a time to do that, sit down and think. And the best way to come up with content is honestly, one, glean from your own experiences and things you've kind of struggled with and gone through. But also just think about like, maybe what are some areas that you felt like you struggled in or that you still struggle in, and figuring out how to get a deal closed or underwrite a deal or raise the money or find a business partner or whatever. Find a way to like spin that and post about it, even if it's something that you're legitimately struggling with. And then just the fact that you posted about it, we're open and honest, the fact that you're struggling with it, I bet you there'll be a ton of people comment and talk about how they can help you solve your problem. Like, and that wasn't even the intent, right? You just wanted to let people know, hey, for anyone else out there struggling finding a business partner, here's what I'm trying to do to find one, or here's what I did to find one that worked out for me. Then people will be like, awesome, thanks so much. I'm equally trying to get into this business and I'm great at this. You want to be my business partner? You know what I'm saying? Like people will just reach out and say the randomest stuff. Anyway.
That's actually really true, Josh. I was listening to somebody's podcast and they had an an accountant on there that works in multifamily and in real estate and stuff of that sort. And she had posted something. I started following her on Instagram. And so of course, I kind of did what like Kevin said, and I reposted it, and I was like, wow, this, and I tagged something on there with her post saying this is really helpful, especially for those of us in real estate. Next thing you know, a friend of mine that I've known since high school, who recently moved to Spain, and you know, when I started asking him, I was like, wow, you moved to Spain? He's like, yeah. I was like, what are you doing? Are you opening a business? He's like, no, you know, we just strategically positioned ourselves so where we can live life here. After I posted that tax benefit for investors, he goes, oh man, this is great. It's so helpful. Oh, it's basically a post basically saying, if you are getting K1s, you should just be best ask for an extension. And so next thing you know, he starts opening it up. He goes, dude, he goes, in real estate, it always happens. And I was like, oh, are you engaged in real estate? You know, I'm kind of working in right now in multifamily. And he goes, yeah, I'm a GP on 2 deals. He's like, and then on 5 other deals, I'm an LP. And it all started to come together. And I was like, no wonder this guy lives in Spain now, because he doesn't have to work. and so I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing stuff. I was like, so how did you do this? You know, like, and, you know, who is your attorney and who is this? And who's your CPA in Houston? He goes, this person is this best for this, and this person is best for that. And he goes, tell him I sent you. And I was like, wow, just next thing you know, you never know what's going to turn out of it. And it was really awesome.
No, you never, ever know until you just put yourself out there. And the best way to do it, social media. There's so many different ways to do it, whether it be a video, whether it be just a text post, whether it be a picture of you doing something or whatever. All right, was that it? Jay, did you have a question? Or did we lose
I
you?
mean, we've kind of touched. No, I mean, we've kind of touched on it. My question was just along the lines of just fake it till you make it, or like the line between knowing me, at least I can speak for me personally. I haven't closed a unit, but just posting on LinkedIn as if I am this massive expert. Like, what's the thought or logic around that? I mean, granted, I'm in sales, so I plan on just faking it till I make it, but didn't know if you had any advice or thoughts on that.
Yeah, there's definitely a fine line between the fake it and the like you're actually a professional. So I would just spin it to your own personal journey. I think your like each and every one of you's personality, individuality, your story, what you've gone through to get to this point, even if you've never actually closed the deal, there's something that you've done that is going to directly connect with someone that you didn't know you needed to connect with until you connect with them. That's what happened to me with my business partner. I was posting about something it was actually on Bigger Pockets. It wasn't even social media, but it was of the forums. And I was like, I answered a question, or I was asking a question or something on a forum. And then he saw that I was local, because y'all, my contact info said I was in like Mobile or something. So I was local, reached out, we got coffee, been business partners ever since. Like, it was as simple as me asking a question and posting something, him seeing it, engaging with it, and then us continuing to take the next step until it led to where we are today. So you just absolutely never know. And it's been incredible to just like watch the journey of social media and all these people commenting and seeing, liking and seeing my information. I had a guy, this isn't even social media, but this is the additional thought leadership platform that we've been talking about, additionally building on top of social media, my podcast. I had a guy call me like 2 weeks ago. He was on the slopes of Denver, Colorado, skiing, loving life with his 2 buddies. He wouldn't tell me who his buddies were, which I wish he did, but whatever. And they somehow got on the topic of podcasts, real estate. I mean, he was in real estate. And they were like, dude, you absolutely have to tune in to the Creative Capital podcast. And he was like, all right, I'll give it a listen. So he listened to a couple of episodes, loved it, and then went on to our website, scheduled a call with me. We got on the call. And then, of course, he told me all this while we were on the call. I was like, how'd you hear about us? And he's telling me the story. Come to find out, he's got $1 million to invest, passive investor, been invested in deals passively for like over a decade, loves real estate, and is ready to like dump money today, like 250, 500K at a time. And I was like, okay. And it all just came from my podcast. Never met the guy before. So the same thing could be said for social media, right? People just see who you are. I've had the same thing happen through social media. People, especially when you go to like conferences and stuff, that's when it really like hits you in the face. When you go somewhere that there's like a lot of other people in the industry that are equally going to be there, and they're like, "Hey, Josh," and I'm like, "I have no idea who you are. How do you know me?" You're like, "I've been following you on social media forever." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, great. Good to meet you. What's your name?" Like, I don't even know you. And they're like, "We've engaged on social media." I'm like, "I'm sure we have, but I talk to so many people. It's hard to remember everybody."
That would be me.
Maybe I just need to be better at that. But anyway. All right. So what I want to do now, we got about 20-ish, 25 minutes left. And we have some. Is everyone actually available? I mean, that's like hardly anyone with their face showing on the call. Is everyone available to like get in breakout rooms and chat and talk?
Sure.
Ro, you're good. Austin.
Here you go. I'll open that.
Oh, we get to see
What
them.
is your social media so I can follow you? Believe it or not, I had no idea who you were before I came in here this first time. So
That's true, because Chris knew me.
Chris brought me in. Yeah, exactly. So
I think my name, if you go on LinkedIn, I think it's just Josh Ferrari or Joshua Ferrari.
okay. Do you do Facebook stuff too? Believe it or not, I haven't used LinkedIn ever.
I think Facebook's the same, Joshua Ferrari. You'll
okay.
see.
And just follow like your friend you or whatever.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it'll just be a picture of my face.
All right then.
Maybe a picture of me, the wife, and the kid. I don't know. I don't even know what my profile pic is anymore. Kevin, you available? Mr. Maxey, Ashley, Janelle, April.
Yes,
Yep.
Janelle's available.
Excellent.
I am.
Sweet. Well, actually, before we disperse, Mr. Maxey here is the freshest meat of us all here in the call today. So what we typically like to do, which you joined a little late after we got started with the call, so you didn't get the initial initiation, but this will be your initiation. Basically, just give us 30 to 60 seconds of a background on yourself, kind of some stuff that you've done in real estate up to this point, and then tell us what you ultimately like want to do and what you hope to get out of the mastermind.
Michael Maxey. I'm from down here where Josh currently is, the Mobile, Baldwin County area along the Alabama Gulf Coast. I have been a realtor since 2017. And I've just over the past couple of years through various podcasts and personalities on social media, including Josh, I've realized I don't really have much of a retirement plan being a realtor. And I really just am so intrigued by the investment part. And the goal is to, honestly, I'll always sell homes. There's no reason for me not to, but I really just kind of want to get to the point where I could be at least at very best part-time real estate investor, hopefully full-time. So.
We're going to get you full-time. We'll make that one happen.
Brother.
Cool.
Can I just mention that this may not be the place to say it, but the guys that are down in Mobile and Baldwin County and stuff like that, I buy single family, duplex, fourplex kind of stuff. So even though this is a multifamily group, if you guys come across stuff that would cash flow and any of those things in Baldwin County, let me know. So anyway, end of pitch. So
absolutely.
Well, that's Michael's next paycheck right there. All right, we're gonna jump off into these break rooms now. We're gonna figure this out. Let's see.
And Josh, for some of us that are new or haven't been in the breakout rooms, what would you like to have, or what would be an ideal situation to happen?
You talking about in the breakout room?
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is supposed to be like meet and greet, right? So it's just like, we've got this mastermind. I wanted it to double as the mastermind aspect of the networking and the deeper connections with people, as well as the actual knowledge, education that we're doing, coaching, mentoring, one-on-one stuff. So what I realized after 8 months was that as much as I was trying to do the mastermind piece with the Slack channel and some other things, I didn't give you guys really the ability to network on a level like this, like we're all in the same room together. So I figured out this whole breakout room things first time I did it. And so it's just meeting your fellow colleagues and potential business partners and people to help you raise money, meeting people that are in the group, trying to do the same thing, tell them about yourself, learn a little bit more about them, and see if there's a way that you guys could help each other. Just networking, really.
Excellent.
So let's make it happen. Bam. All right. You guys are getting ready to leave me. Bam. And we're back. Do you guys like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bueno?
Yeah. Met 3 people I didn't know yesterday.
There you
Oh, how
go.
about that? Cool. Well, fellas, ladies, that was all I had for today. So today's the 23rd. It's almost the end of March, if y'all can believe it. And we will be reconvening on Monday, the 27th. So if you guys got any questions between now and then, let me know. Otherwise, everyone have a fantastic weekend.
Right on.
everybody
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.